Okay, so let's go over our presentation and then we'll do the actual demonstration. So printing and scanning 101 for the NSA, that's what I'm calling this class. Our responsibility, we're going to go over the tools that we need to have, common issues, and then some troubleshooting ideas. Printing and scanning is vital to what we do. It's a big, big part of it. If one of those goes wrong, the whole thing can be in jeopardy, right? The whole transaction, at least our part of it. So let's talk about what our responsibility is. Most notary signing agent assignments require you as the notary signing agent to print the forms that require signature and notarization. When I say most, I don't know, what do you guys think? 95% of the time. Sometimes documents are shipped to you. Sometimes the signer has the forms. Sometimes maybe you're signing at an office, they will have the forms. But I would say out of all the signings I've done, we're like 99% of the time, we print the documents. So you really need to know how to print the forms and know how to use your printer. Many assignments requires that the documents to be scanned back prior to returning the documents to whoever hired you. So not all of them, but many assignments. When I first started my career 13 years ago, when I became a notary, I would say scanning was more rare. Now I'd say it's the standard. And many notaries choose to scan back all of their assignments because they love their scanner. They know how to use it. It's easy. Your scanner is really free once you've bought it, right? It doesn't cost money to scan more documents once you've purchased your scanner. And once you get to know it, it's easy. So I might scan every single file just to be safe, just so I have a copy of those docs that I can provide to the client. It covers your back, and it may or may not be helpful for the client. But if it's helpful, why not, right? So many assignments require it. So you have to know how to scan. Okay, so our tools. We have to have a printer. I've seen recently a lot of maybe new notaries, they have their commission, they have their stamp, their journal, but they think, oh, I'll just print at FedEx or a postal annex. Do not do that unless you'd like to waste your money, right? You don't want to do that. It's costly. So even if you send the documents to FedEx to print, which is not allowed, by the way, because now that sensitive information in real estate transactions is now loose to people who shouldn't have it, right? But even if you did that, it might cost you $30 to print. Or if you go there and use their printers and computers, which you're not allowed to do, right? Because it's, again, not secure, but it costs maybe $1 per page. So you might be, you're losing money if you do that. You must invest in a printer. It's critical. And what you need a laser printer, not an ink printer. Why? Because ink is very expensive. And typically inkjet printers are not as fast as a laser printer. That is a blanket statement. I've seen some fast inkjets. I've actually owned one. I didn't know it was an ink, and it was fast, but that ink ran out quick. So really what you need is a laser printer that requires toner. That's how you get it to print, right? Is the toner. I spelled dually. I meant to say dual tray is a highly suggested item, right? So we'll go over what that looks like in a minute, but dual tray, so you can have two different types of paper. I always say that a backup printer is recommended. In my career, I've always had two printers minimum. One that it costs more money, that is my main printer, that's more heavy duty. And then the cheapest printer that I can find, that's a laser jet, maybe $99. That is my backup in case anything happens with my main printer. When this is your bread and butter, or you want to make it your bread and butter, I would always suggest a backup printer. Again, your backup could be the slowest printer on earth. It's just something in case you're in a jam. in case something goes wrong and you don't have time to troubleshoot it, right? Or your printer just dies on you, right? Which every once in a while will happen. It happens, I think, very infrequently. Okay, you always need legal size and letter size paper, right? So that's a reoccurring expense you're going to use for eternity if you're a notary, right? Until everything's remote, which will be quite a while from now. So you need your letter size, legal size paper. Toner. Toner, again, is a reoccurring supply. You'll replace it as needed depending on your printing volume. So it depends on how many jobs you're doing. I cannot say it might be every 2 months that you get new toner. If you're really rolling, doing a lot of jobs, it might be sooner. It might be later, depending on how much paper and printing you're doing. You need a drum. That's a reoccurring expense, but I would say you replace it maybe annually or biannually. The drum is critical, and some issues happen because of a dud drum or an old drum. Now, this one is optional, but I'm gonna always recommend it, is Adobe Pro. So Adobe Acrobat Pro. We'll talk a little bit more about that as well. So what about for scanning? You need a scanner. Now, my suggestion for the price, you want to get a printer scanner combo. Now, what if you're like, I already have a printer and it doesn't have a scanner? Well, then you'll just need to invest in a scanner. But say you're brand new, or it's that time you want to get a new printer, a printer scanner combo. I'll show you my favorite. We are not endorsed by Brother, but we do love Brother printers. HP also makes a good printer, but I'll talk about what my favorite is. So you might need, like for me, I have a printer. If you see it in the back, that's my printer and scanner and dual tray. We'll go over that. But if you already have a printer that you like, you need a separate scanner. There's so many options. I've never had to buy a separate scanner for loan docs. Find one that isn't super slow, but try not to spend a lot of money. I'd say anywhere from $200 to $300 should be your price range. It's still a lot of money, right? But I've seen scanners $500. You really need a basic scanner that can scan black and white at a decent rate, right? Maybe 20 pages per minute. Decent rate. Okay, what everybody can get though, so even if you're not ready to invest in a new printer scanner combo or a separate scanner, get yourself a smartphone scanning app, and there's about 1 million of them. So those are anywhere from free to like $6. And again, for scanning, you can use Adobe Pro DC. For other things that you may need to adjust after you scan the docs, that'll be in our live demonstration. I'll show you some of the ways that I use that tool. Okay, so again, I wanted to show you my favorite printer. It's the Brother laser printer, all-in-one, print, scan, copy, fax. So when I first started telling people to buy this, it was maybe $2.99, maybe in the threes. I remember because I remember thinking, okay, that's like 3 to 4 signings. Now it's $4.39 on, I think it was Staples that I just saw that price. Super expensive. I mean, everything's expensive these days, right? But it is expensive to get a good printer. But this is the printer that I use. That's right behind me. And I love it. I've had it for 6-7 years, no issues. There used to be, and I don't know, I'm telling you this just because I miss it. I think Thomas White and Elizabeth White, who work for my company, my brother and sister-in-law, have it. This HP printer that was so fast. It didn't have a scanner, but it was so fast. I think it was like $400 at the time. I think they realized how good of a printer it is, and now it's in the thousands. I mourn that because that was the printer of all printers. I mean, super fast, industrial grade, but it was little. It was like what's behind me. That's the best printer ever. Anyways, it's out of anybody's price range. Do not buy that. This one is just as good. It's a very fast printer. Scanning is super easy. It also has the ability to copy, right? So the top lifts up so you can put one page if you need one page, but I like to use the feed at the top. An optional tray. This is another one for a lower optional tray that just fits right under here. So I don't know if you can see it on my printer behind me. It's a mess in my office, but there's a second tray that you just attach it to the bottom and then make sure you put the software letting it know that there's now another tray. This used to be under $100, and now, whoa, sorry, guys. Now it's almost $200. Ridiculous. But if you're doing, if you plan on this being your full-time job, or you have it in your budget, it's suggested. Now we're going to talk about what if you don't have it in your budget, you don't want to spend that. Well, there's other ways that you can print both letter size and legal. The beauty of having the dual tray is you can print legal and letter at the same time. So when you get a set of loan docs, there's going to be legal size pages and letter size pages most of the time. Sometimes our clients will do all letter, all legal, but most of the time it's a mixture. So your PDF that you get is a mixture of those documents. What the beauty of a dual tray is that you can just press print per PDF size, which I'll show you how to do on my computer, which will probably be similar to yours. And then the printer is going to automatically know which tray to pull the paper from. So that's the beauty. It means printing is fast and you don't have to worry about any other issues that we're going to talk about, like cutting off documents. But there's other ways to do it. It may take a little bit more time, but it's possible. So we'll go over those in just a minute, but that's my favorite. Adobe Acrobat Pro is what our company uses. The pricing I list right here is $20 a month if you pay like for a year, or $239 for the whole year if you prepay, or $30 a month with no like annual contract. So you have to decide whether this is going to work for you. There are other free PDF editing softwares that do similar things. This is, to me, the all-in-one place. And if you can pay $20 a month, I would suggest doing that once you get going and start making money as a notary, or if you're already a notary and you're making money, I would do it. If it's in your budget, it is something to me that for your work, if you have another subscription that's $20, that's for fun, get rid of that one, pay for this one, because it will make you more efficient, allow you to do a lot of neat things. So I'll go over what it does quickly. You can edit the text, you can edit images, you can reorder documents. So if you have a PDF in one form, when you scanned it, oops, that was actually supposed to go up at closer to the top of the package, you can reorder them, you can delete them. That's all helpful when you're scanning docs. You can convert PDFs and export to Word, Excel, PowerPoint. So say you're given, like sometimes a client will upload a Microsoft Word document and you open it and you try to print it and it prints weird. You can convert documents to Word and back to PDF, Adobe. You can export and convert. It's really nice. You can even sign forms. You can edit documents. So if you have a client who wants you to just do some, maybe like, can you get an e-signature on a form? You can do that with Adobe Acrobat. You can track the document and get responses in real time. For scanning, you can add security and passwords to PDFs. So you're not allowed to scan a set of docs and then just straight email them to a client, right? You can't do that because, I mean, there's socials, there's all this private information for our signers. And you know how bad fraud is these days. We've had issues over the years that, have cost our clients thousands and thousands of dollars, millions probably, really in total. I mean, millions, but so you have to add passwords to protect the form. That way, creeps don't get a hold of this good stuff. You can do that with this. You can turn a scanned document into an editable, searchable PDF. So if you need to search for a certain word on the form, there's all sorts of things. You also get the mobile app, and that allows for that mobile scanning that I said it's a must. So I'm a big fan of Adobe Acrobat. I think all of us here at the company are. That's what we use. Okay, we talked about smartphone scanning. It's a must. There are free apps. I think I've paid $4 on one. I don't even know why. As long as you're okay with ads, who cares, right? And this is what it looks like. So you take a nice, clear image of the form. You can edit the edges once you've taken a picture here. And so it looks nice and clean. It's helpful for scanning just a few documents, miscellaneous forms, or errors, corrections on the go. Now, when you're in a real pinch, you can scan an entire set of loan docs. I've done that many times when I'm in a real pinch. you know, oh shoot, they need these scans now and I'm on the go. Okay, you know, I sit, get a nice flat surface, start scanning. It's a must have to have that. Okay, so let's go over the common issues. We'll outline them. We're going to go over some of them in our PowerPoint, and then the rest we're going to talk about. We're going to show you, demonstrate them. So printing, cut off documents. That's when either the top or the bottom of the form is cut off. That happens when you don't print per PDF size. We'll talk about what that looks like. Elizabeth White just brought to our attention a notary who cut off docs and printed double-sided or duplex. So that's when you print on both sides of the paper. As a notary signing agent, printing double-sided or cut off docs always result in a re-sign. Our client right now, when Elizabeth told them that they, the notary cut these off and printed on both sides, they said, oh, let's look at those so we can see if a re-sign is needed. A re-sign will be needed. They'll look at them and go, oh yeah, you can't record deeds that are printed on both sides of the paper. And it's hard to even scan them, right? Because you have to scan them, then flip them, scan them, and then reorganize them. It's not going to work, right? They're going to need to get re-signed. Blackened out forms. I'll show you an example of this. This is kind of like a relatively new issue we've been happening in the past few, maybe 6 months. Light toner streaks, toner splatters. So when you have your document and it's light, or there's these lines through it, or there's like these random splatter marks, and then not printing all documents. So we'll go over that. And then scanning too large to email or upload. So when you scan a set of docs, if you scan maybe say high resolution, the scan online will be a big package to scan, right? It'll be too large to email or upload or download. So what are the ways we can troubleshoot that? And we'll go over that. Scanning one form at a time. That's when you don't select on your scanner to combine all scanned forms into one package. I'll show you on my scanner how I can do that. When you scan one form at a time, our client will not go through each scan like that. You're going to have to rescan it. It's a waste of your time to do that. Emailing scanned packages without password protecting them, like we just discussed, unclear scans, and then missing your cutoff time. So missing the time that you have to scan them in order for the scans to be used for funding or recording. So those are the common issues. Let's get into it. Okay, so this is an example of what toner issues might look like. So kind of like lines down the middle. Maybe sometimes they're clean lines, sometimes they're like this. The culprit when this occurs is either the toner or the drum unit. So the first thing to do is to clean the toner unit. So when you take out your toner, there's this little sliding bar that you can slide back and forth, and that can kind of clean the toner. Try that. Clean the toner, put it back in. And I can show you what that looks like too in our demonstration. Let me write that down. Show toner. I forgot to add that to my list of what we're going to go over. If that doesn't work, try a new toner. Maybe your toner is on the fritz, right? Or it's just at the bottom of the available toner to be used. So try a new toner. Okay, so say none of that works. It's probably the drum unit. So it means the drum is an old drum, or it's time to replace the drum. So that's why it's so important to have maybe multiples. And that is an investment. You might be someone like me that's always running tight, right? I'm like, I want to buy one toner and I'll just wait. But that's living on the edge, you know, which is something I generally do when it comes to anything, right? I'm a bit of a procrastinator. But if you're willing to and have the resources to invest, always invest in your next drum and your next toner before they run out, before you need them, right? So where say you tried all these and nothing works, pop in that new drum. And then you probably will have no issues. That's the culprit when you get things like this. Ugly printing, I like to call it. Okay, blacked out portions of documents. So real quick, these like gray portions, I blacked those out. So we're really looking at the black stuff. See the black stuff? It almost looks like it's been redacted. It's not. Now I don't have I don't know for 100% fact that this is the reason why, but when we troubleshoot, this helps. So I assume that this is the reason. So let's talk about it. So when you print, now a lot of times you might just open the PDF, print it out. You have to review your docs after you do that, right? So review them. If all of a sudden you see these blacked out marks, look at the PDF on your computer and compare them. Were the forms sent that way? If they were sent with these, looks like redacted boxes, these big black portions, then it's probably the person who generated the document or sent it over's issue, and we need to talk to them. But if the PDF looks clean, so the PDF does not have those, then it's your issue. We've got to fix it. And it's most likely like a software issue. So you might want to ask yourself, what PDF viewer are you using? Now, what we have typically seen when we get this issue, which is an issue we're getting like every day, we see it when notaries who are using Mac, Apple products, and they're viewing the software through the Mac software, which is free to an Apple computer, called Preview. What you'd want to do as the troubleshoot is download Adobe Acrobat. Even if it's the free one, download Adobe Acrobat and try printing from there. So that's what we do to troubleshoot. We see this, and maybe if it's a form like this, which had no signatures, which is, good, we would print this out using Adobe, and we've had no issues. So you just got to try another software. Now this is, I'm going to mention, I thought, should I even mention it? Because maybe this is so silly. Maybe it's not true. I don't have any evidence of this other than my mom said it, but my mom's pretty smart. So we used to get a similar issue, and she would say that sometimes Mac computers, I think the software is so smart that it sees things or puts things in there that it really ought not to, right? So tried and true Adobe Acrobat, get the free one, use that. That's what I do. I use Mac computers, and I always use Adobe. I don't use Preview for anything. Not that it's bad, but it's had this issue, right? And I need to avoid this issue. And so do you. Okay, I've also seen this occur when printing directly from a browser. So you open up the document, say on SnapDocs or DocCloud, Notary Dash, whatever site you're using, and then it pulls it up on like another browser, not a PDF viewer. When that happens and it's printing weird and having issues like this, try another browser. So, I always have 2 or 3 different browsers downloaded on my computer just in case this happens. You know them. There's a million of them. Internet Explorer, Mozilla, Firefox, Chrome, whatever the Mac one is, which I use all the time. I really should know the name. I don't. What is that called? I don't even remember. But the one you use for your MacBook. Have a variety of them, or just try it in a Adobe Acrobat or a software that you can open up PDFs from your computer. So those are kind of our troubleshooting for those. But always review the forms. We're getting like I said, every day we're getting this, and the notaries are sending them back signed like that. So what is required to happen? Y'all are getting those forms re-signed. So look at your documents. If something doesn't look right, it's not right, right? Big black boxes are not included on the documents. And if they are, there's an issue. Okay, so we talked about printing on duplex or double-sided. Printing on duplex is never allowed as a notary signing agent. I've never seen it. It's not allowed. So what does this mean? Why do people do it? They do it because, hey, I'll save a lot of paper by printing on both sides. It's going to get rejected. It's going to get re-signed. I've never seen it happen. Anyone from the office, if you've seen it happen, let me know, but I've never seen it be accepted. So you want to make sure that you do not select the option that says print on both sides of paper. If you are someone who always prints on both sides of the paper for outside of this kind of stuff, make sure that is unchecked when you're printing for your notary stuff, right? like I said, you'll always have to get these forms re-signed, and the client will say this is a notary error. You're not going to get paid for going back and getting it re-signed. So unclick this box, print on both sides of paper. Never as a notary public signing agent. Okay, so now there goes my little presentation on that. I'm going to stop sharing this part of my screen, and then I'm going to share my whole screen, and we will talk about, I'm going to share my whole desktop with you. Okay, so we'll get rid of this guy and my spelling errors. Okay, let's get rid of this. Okay, so next let's talk about cutoff documents. So let's go open up a set of loan docs. I'm going to show you what that's going to kind of look like. I don't have a set of cutoffs, a scan set that is just right to my attention right now. Even though we had one this morning, I could have asked for that, but I didn't have the time. So what does that mean? Well, when a scan is cut off, or a set of docs is cut off, not a scan, we're talking about printing. It's, you know, the bottom or the top will be just chopped off. That's what it is. And why does that occur? Well, one, you're printing on letter size when it needs to be legal size, and you didn't adjust the printing settings so where nothing gets cut off. It all gets shrunk onto the letter size page. And so you'll see when this happens, say, let me get my highlighting tool, this bottom portion, whoa, my highlighter went berserk. Undo. Oh, whatever, doesn't matter. Say this bottom portion, right where the barcode is, that'll get chopped off, or the top. Now on a form like this, it would be hard to know that the form got cut off because it doesn't, like the bottom portion just has this barcode. But on other forms, it might be more obvious. Signatures are going to get cut off. Titles of document are going to be cut off. So how you make sure that that doesn't happen. So say, let's print this form out. There's a little button here that's choose paper source by PDF page size. So if you're someone with a dual tray and it's hooked up and connected and all programmed for the second tray to be legal size, the top tray to be letter size, then you're going to want to choose paper source by PDF size. And so it will pull from the tray that the corresponding tray with either letter or legal, and nothing will be cut off. But say you don't do that, or say you keep that and you only have letter size, it's going to get cut off. And cut off documents always require a re-sign. So it really has to do with how you print the forms. Now, our clients and most clients, if they're sending you a package that has letter and legal size, they really want you to print both of those, right? They don't want just on legal or just on letter. But the truth is, and team, if you've seen otherwise, you tell me, but I very rarely see them kick back forms if they're printed correctly on letter or legal. So say you have no legal size, but you have letter size. You can unclick the choose paper source by PDF size, make sure it fits to page, and then everything will be on letter. So it'll kind of shrink the legal to fit on letter size. And you typically don't have an issue with that. I wouldn't do that all the time, but it does work in a pinch if you're out of letter, or if you're having some other weird printing thing, like maybe your second tray, it reset the programming and you need to reprogram it, but you don't have time. This is what you could do. Print everything on letter, but you need to make sure nothing is cut off. Now, there's another thing I wanted to mention when it comes to printing letter and legal size. And we talked about it before. So we're going to exit out of this. Don't save my highlighting. There is a free website that sorts the pages. Eli, my husband, told me that SnapDocs does this too. I don't know if it costs more money though. I don't know if it costs money. I've never used it on SnapDocs, but Notary Rotary has a free PDF page sorter. So say you don't have a dual tray printer like we discussed. So you're going to have to print the letter size and then print the legal size separately. You can use this free software. So Notary Rotary PDF page sorter. You select a file. I'm going to go to, where's my desktop, loan docs right here. And I'll download it and then process it. Okay, and it does two things. It tells you like the sequence, the page counts, what's letter, what's legal, and then it gives you two, click here for your letter document, click here for your legal. So then you can just download that, right? You got download that right there. And whoop, you do the same thing here. And then you have both letter and legal size forms. You can print letter first, switch out the paper, then print the legal. Now, what if you don't have, now this is again, like you have an issue, you have a kind of a crisis, and you cannot print legal and you want to make sure nothing's cut off. And sometimes we do this if, say, the notary can't print legal and we want to make sure nothing's cut off. Like we don't trust the notary to not have them cut off. We might print this to our desktop and save it letter size. That way, and then re-upload it. That way it is letter size. So we convert it, the form, to letter size and then re-upload it to our site. But that's kind of like an internal trick that we do. For you guys, the best thing to do is print letter and legal. Always have the ability to print both. Even if you don't have a dual tray, use a PDF page sorter, and that's how you can do it. So you can separate. So now I have both a letter size package and a legal size. The only thing that may happen is you may forget to print one or the other. So you really have to be present when printing. Compare what you were sent, that original package, with what's printed to make sure that you have all the documents. So that is important. So that's kind of my way of troubleshooting cutting off. I think the biggest thing is to compare your PDF with what's printed. So if you see, oh, I don't have a barcode, don't just say, oh, no big deal. That's a big deal. If the form doesn't have a title, all forms will have a title. That's a problem. That's cut off. So you're going to need to do some troubleshooting again. Preview, look at your PDF that's on your desktop, look at what printed, and then you can shrink everything. You can make sure your printer is set up to print legal and letter. Now, unfortunately, I can't, there's so many different types of printers. I can't troubleshoot for your specific printer. But what I will say is you can. So you know your printer, type in Google or YouTube, if it's an HP, type in the model, issues with printing legal size. And you can watch a video and it'll teach you. Really getting to know your individual products is key because there's so much variation. Okay, so we're going to talk about scanning documents right now. So I have a set of docs in my printer that we're going to scan. So look at my toner's low and I'm out of paper on that one. That's okay because we're just scanning. So open scanner. So that's how I do it. I just go to my settings and I go to that particular scanner or that product, and that's how I can scan. So I'm just going to say, so this is what pops up. This is what I see. I'll make it bigger. Okay, so there's a few things here. The scan mode for my printer. Flatbed is that flatbed, right? That classic scanning or copying, right? Or document feeder. I'm going to use the document feeder because I have about 50, 60 pages. Kind. What do you need? Text, black and white, color. You never need to scan in color. I have not seen that. Black and white or text is fine. Scanning in color is going to increase the size of the package, which may make it difficult to download and upload an email. So text or black and white. Now, resolution is important. And this is kind of where Adobe comes into play. You may say, I want that package size to be small enough to upload. So I'm going to do it, the resolution 100 dpi. That's going to be super light, that scan, or it's going to be very fuzzy and not able to view. So I always choose like in the middle. It gives you 4 options. I choose 300. Okay, size. is the size of the document. Is it legal letter? Now, one common issue with scanning is that the scans are cut off. So maybe not the actual loan package, but the scan gets cut off because there's legal size forms, but you formatted your scanner for letter. So you want to make sure that if you're scanning both legal and letter, it's best to just put legal, because now everything will be shown instead of it being cut off, right? Because legal is larger. So we'll do legal. Duplex is, we talked about that, right? Signing both sides of the pages. We never do that. So I'm going to scan it to my desktop. I'm going to name it test, format, PDF. Okay, now I'm going to show you two things. So we always want to combine the scan into a single document. Let's do it like we're not. I'm going to show you what a pain in the butt and how ugly and how annoying this is. So we're going to do it like this. So we're going to scan, and I'm just scanning something random. I think it's a book on real estate, but we'll do this scan and it'll take a minute now, but look at, you can see here, you see how it's scanning one PDF at a time, one page at a time. Okay. Now I'm going to cancel it because that's all I need to do to show you how bad this looks. So sometimes notaries will do this, and this is a common error, is they'll then go and upload each of these pages like this. I'm just gonna do it all at once. And then now this is actually pretty small. When notaries do this, it can be 150 individual page scans. Our client will not be able to fund using 150 individual documents. What has to happen is that someone from our team has to then download each one and combine them, right? I'll show you what that means. So I'd have to download each one, and using Adobe, I'd hit organize pages, and I'd have to combine them. Now, the combining is easy. It's the downloading 150 pages that's not easy, right? Downloading them, putting them in there on your desktop, making sure that they aren't, you didn't miss any. The combining is the easy part, right? But it's still more work. This is not going to, and even just work in deleting. Then I have to go in and delete 150 PDFs, and it takes forever, right? So that's an issue. So what you want to do instead, and I think my scanner is still like working through all these, even though I canceled it, it has to like feed through the scanner. So I'll show you what we're going to do instead. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of this, right? I actually have to move for this one. So let's grab the form again, place them in the feeder. Get this nice and straight. There you go. Okay, so let's try that again. All right, I'm gonna exit out of here, don't save. Okay, so I'm going to rename this, maybe loan signing or docs for loan signing. And then combine into a single document. That's what we're gonna do. Okay, so that's gonna scan. Now you can review the scan right here to make sure that things are scanning correctly. This looks like a nice clean scan though, right? It's very clear. It's in black and white, that's okay. Nothing is cut off. Everything here is letter size, but if it was legal, we need to make sure that we adjust the scanner to scan for legal. Otherwise, the scan is cut off. And I want to go into that just a little further, is if the scan is cut off and we're reviewing the scans, or the client is, they're going to get a lump in their throat, and they're going to worry that the actual documents are cut off. They're going to say, oh no, the scans are cut off. Does that mean the actual docs are cut off? And then we'll go to you and say, did you just scan them cut off, or did you get them signed cut off, right? Did you print them cut off? And that's always a worry. right? Now there's different ways to say, oh, I can see that it's just the scan, right? But sometimes there's not, and we have to go to you. And sometimes it means that both are cut off, right? So knowing the difference between letter size and legal size is critical. And then adjusting your printer and your scanner accordingly is really important. Okay, so we're seeing that the things are scanning, and we can see that they are in one package, this package right here, docs for loan signing, right? Scanning beautifully. Now I might cancel this because we don't really need any more for this, but let's look at what's scanned into one neat, clean package. Yep. And look at its letter size or legal size, sorry. So even though the form was letter size, it scanned it legal size. If you're scanning both legal and letter, always format your scanner or make sure the scanning setting is for legal. That way nothing gets cut off. So it looks really, really good, right? All right, so let's do two more things. Okay. Let's upload this to the site. So we're going to upload it. Look at here, this number. I don't know if you can see it, but it's 30 MB, megabytes, I assume, right? 30 is a big package. I cannot email a 30 megabyte package. I cannot email that. I think the most you can email is like 20 and under. So this is too big to email. It can get uploaded, but it might be big to download. So I'm going to show you how using Adobe Pro, you can compress the file. So for me, I go to File, I go to Save as Other, Reduce Size PDF. And it'll say Make Compatible with. I always choose the latest Adobe Acrobat 10 or later, and OK. And then it'll ask you to save it. I'm going to save it as the same one, and it'll replace the other package. So it might take a minute to reduce the size, but you see at the bottom of my screen, you can see it's working. So let's see. Let's now upload it and see what the difference is. Oh, I have to refresh my page. There you go. Wow, look at how much it reduced it. It went from 30 to 3. Isn't Adobe awesome? So that's why we use Adobe. So it didn't do anything except compress the size, and it's everything that was there is there, but now it's way more manageable. Our clients are going to be able to easily download this form. So that's how you do that. Now, what if you needed to email the form or the scan? Let me show you how we can do that. So emailing it, it's easy, right? Drag and drop to your email. Well, if it's a notary signing agent thing, you need to password protect it. So on Adobe, it's super easy. So there's two places that you can go. You can go to File and protect using password, or on the Tools section, you can protect a PDF. So let's protect it with a password. Now the password can be just for viewing or for editing. Just viewing is really all they need when you're scanning. So you make up a password, right? So ours is going to be just something simple like coast to coast, capital C. Write down your password, because you don't know how many times I've sent the client the package, gave them a password, and they're like, it doesn't open. So there you go. And so now when I close it, see this little key or lock, PDF lock, I can't open it unless there's a password. And now I can open it. And so you'll email your client, and you could even do it on this if you want to be extra careful. So you would, I keep forgetting to refresh. Okay, so I'm going to download that. I might tell my client, hello, scanned loan package is uploaded here. The password to open the forms is coast to coast, right? That's what you do. And that way there's that double security. When you email, you have to. When you're uploading to a secure platform, you don't need to password protect the docs. But when you're emailing it, you need to. And always make sure that the password is in a separate email, right? Otherwise, what's the point? If someone is really looking to get into those docs, they'll see your password and open it, right? So there you go. Now, the last thing that I want to show you, and I didn't edit this form, so we're going to do it together, is just making sure to scan before the cutoff time. Now, some sites will tell you when they need the doc scanned, or some clients will tell you, right? But what if they don't? So this is SnapDocs. On SnapDocs, a client might say, I need the scans, 2 hours within 2 hours of the start time, right? Now, SnapDocs says this, that's a fast turnaround time. There may be fewer notaries being able to accommodate this request. So if you see a scan back return deadline, make sure you can fulfill it. Now, if you can't, communication, right? You can also say the client can also say how you want it. So we'll do something a little bit more reasonable, 6 hours. So say the signing was this morning, 9 a.m., upload the documents within 6 hours of appointment start time. And how they want it, they want the docs uploaded here. They may say email, in which case you have to encrypt them. So making sure that you scan the docs on time. What can happen if you don't? Well, scans can be used to fund loans. So funding may be missed if you don't scan the documents on time. And that's why having that phone scanner is helpful, say you have multiple appointments. The phone scanning is hard for big loan packages, as you can imagine, right? If there's 100 pages, taking 100 individual pictures, making sure that they look good, and 100% you're going to need to shrink those packages because they're going to be big because they come from pictures, right? But that's always an option. So there you go. That's my presentation for today on printing and scanning.